Doug Barnes Jr. did not have a good night at the South Carolina 400. He didn't qualify where he wanted to. I think he qualified in 19th. And then from there, once the race got going, he had a flat tire. And then 5 laps before the stage break, he got into a wreck with Tristan McKee and Katie Hettinger, smashed up his front end. You can see what happened here. We don't have any video of actually what happened in the wreck. Maybe when Doug releases the in-car footage, we might see what goes on. But you can see here his car is all smashed up, absolutely destroyed. Or not completely destroyed. They were actually able to do a really good job of bringing it back together. And then you can see there Tristan McKee and Katie Hettinger in the woods over there in the backstretch. I guess it may be on turn 3. But they would get that car fixed. They would beat and bang it out. They were helped because they did get the stage break. Were able to actually get the hood back on it. They did send him out there without the hood for like 5 or 6 laps, I believe, and then they got the hood back on it, and he was able to rejoin the field. And he seemed to be making pretty good progress. Was kind of playing the Butterbean Queen strategy, sitting back, saving his tires, and then was going to make a go for it. But unfortunately, what ended up happening is when he made a go for it, it didn't turn out all that well. He got involved with Lanie Buice, and unclear what happened. We can see him here racing against Lanie Buice. You can see there, looking at the left screen there, Lanie Buice is this black and pink car in the 21 right at the edge of your screen. And then Doug Barnes is in the number 88, kind of a little bit behind him. We don't really see what happens, but we know he was coming up to her. He was on the outside of Stephen Nasse. He was moving forward. I think that is kind of around like the 12th, 13th, 14th position. So he was getting up there, trying to get that top 10 with about, what were we at, 13 laps to go. Unfortunately, within the next 6-7 laps, something would happen and he would end up in the woods here off of turn 1. A fire would start under his car. We can take a look at this here. You can see that is the number 88 red Ferrari for Doug Barnes Jr. Fire starting underneath the car. He's just like parked in the woods, and he's parked pretty far off the track in the woods there. But fortunately, he was safe. I asked him on X what exactly happened here, and this is what he had to say. He said, I think the heat races would have, well, I first asked him what was going on with the heat races, and so he was answering that question. He said, I think the heat races would have only sent home a handful of cars, so they just included everyone. And he then says he doesn't know what happened. He says, the 21, Lanie Buice, ran me straight in the fence the previous lap. Then the car bottomed out really bad, and it whipped around on me. He would then post to his official feed here, giving an update on what happened. He says, I went to bed Friday night thinking we had a good chance to win the South Carolina 400, but it just wasn't our night. We qualified like junk, then we fired off tight in the first stage. I kept getting involved in other people's incidents and damaged the nose pretty badly. That's obviously referring to whatever happened between Tristan McKee and Katie Hettinger. And then he says, my team rallied and got everything bent back into place for the second stage. They did a really good job in that second stage. They had all kinds of hammers and tools that they were beating and banging. We saw on the Flow Racing feed, and they were able to get that fixed. I was actually surprised that they were able to get the hood back on it, because they had sent them out there without the hood previously, and then they put the hood back on it after the stage break. That 10 minutes to work on it. So they really did a really good job in a short amount of time. And then he went on and said, we decided to save tires nearly 3/4 of a lap down for 100 laps. Again, Butterbean Queen strategy. We saw a number of cars trying to implement that strategy. Landon S. Huffman and Butterbean were probably the two best at implementing that strategy, running up there in the top 5, definitely top 10s. And Doug was poised to almost do the same. With 50 to go, we started moving forward and almost cracked the top 10, but the 21 stuffed us straight in the fence, and something broke a lap later going off into turn 1. 2 DNFs in a row is not what I envisioned for our race team. We've got the Thanksgiving Classic next weekend at Southern National Motorsports Park. I'm excited to try and turn things around there. So that is what happened with Doug Barnes Jr. His night went from bad to worse. Even though the team was rallying and was persistent, it still didn't pay off. He eventually, if we look over here on my race pass, he finished in 23rd for the night. So not the finish that Doug Barnes Jr. was looking for at the South Carolina 400. But what do you make of what happened to Doug Barnes Jr. In the South Carolina 400?